so sorry, Josh Keaton. I don't think I'll ever get tired of the past and future intercut like this, and the constant cuts to black make this feel like a bad dream you can't quite remember every piece of.
Wake up to the sounds of the silence that allows.
Enemy is back as the opening credits song over a newly made opening sequence that I absolutely love. The statues in season 1 gave this sense that they were parts of history flashing in front of our eyes, but the new sequences has shots that are more akin to a moving painting, which feels a bit more like we're in the moment rather than looking at it. Each clip of the sequence also has its own layer of symbolism, and I feel like I would need a whole video on its own to fully break it down. I wasn't ready for a montage that was fully hand-drawn in real life using charcoal and mixed with the 3D elements we've seen up until now. This is just one of the many examples of the animators getting more daring with the different art styles they put on display. Caitlyn trying a couple more times to get a good final look at her mom kills me. I was iffy on this song until the strings came in, and wow, does it hit right here. Vi's the only person Kate feels comfortable finally crying about this with, not even her father. She could just not want him to feel worse than he already does, but she's been hiding tears even through the funeral.
I have to help.
You can, as one of us.
Kate, I can't wear this. I watched them kill my parents. Do you have any idea how that feels?
Yes, I do. I thought you were on our side.
You didn't think at all.
There it is, Arcane making you care about two characters with pretty understandable motivations that also happen to be at odds with each other. I think the writers hate the audience.
Pulse is consistent.
Kind of a random one, but the way Kevin Alejandro delivered the line "Pulse is consistent" makes me feel like he would play a good Iron Man voice.
How does the explosion do that to him? And I just walk out without a scratch.
I like that the allusion to Mel's magic powers aren't very obviously hinted at. Like, it's not a thing where there's a close-up on her and she's confused and then she's like, I don't know, Jace. I don't know. It's just more subtle, and I appreciate it.
And every fiber of me just sinks, like a stone swallowed in dark water.
Caitlyn should be a writer.
I'm the one who created the monster.
Love the reference to the final song of the previous season.
Vi?
Why does it sound like Jinx and not Maddie? Am I hearing things?
So what is it? Random search?
Is that a reference to when enforcers searched Vi and Powder in the Enemy music video? Best buds already. I'm sorry.
Awful, isn't it? Losing a loved one.
Again, I can't really blame her. The terrorism might be a bit much, but wanting to avenge her son who died way too young? Yeah, I get that. Those green lights gave me a split second of hope that those were the firelights. This whole fight puts you on edge across all of the different perspectives. I mean, a hammer's a hammer. Oh no, Maddie's in danger.
For my son!
This show really has me rooting for the child murderer right now. Teamwork.
She dies and leaves this giant hole, and I'm just supposed to fill it.
You won't. The hole gets smaller, but you never fill it.
Sometimes the response that sounds more hopeless is the better one to go with because it's more honest. The Arcane version of Linkin Park's Heavy as the Crown is such a good tone setter and good foreshadowing to the lengths that Caitlyn will go for quote-unquote peace. For anyone wondering though, the From Zero album version is really different but really good, and I'm glad the band's back after everything.
You aren't here to put it all back together, because could someone put all those holes in you?
Jinx still kinda has the mind of a child, and it makes her whole story even more tragic. She can't even say anything similar to "I killed you." She can't admit that it was her, and she also can't phrase it in too dark of a manner, so she says someone put those holes in you.
Now it's so quiet.
And it's such a cool idea for her that the quiet is actually haunting. After years of hearing voices in her head, hearing nothing feels wrong. This is such a fitting send-off to Silco. It juxtaposes the baptism scene from the first season while also being in character for Jinx to say goodbye this way instead of a typical burial. The first of many montages to music, which is a choice I generally like, but something I started to feel with them as the act and the rest of the season went on, is that they felt less special. I think it was an attempt to make everything feel bigger than the first season, where there were only 11 songs used sparingly across the 9 episodes, but the scarcity in licensed music made every song feel like a moment. With the number of soundtrack songs doubling this season, I could only remember a handful while I could remember each song from the first season and love all of them. I'm still gonna win this because it's a really cool montage nonetheless.
Dirty little animals.
It's a nice little reference to Dirty Little Animals from Season 1 soundtrack. Saving your new best friend.
Good luck to me, 'cause I'm already dead inside.
That final line of the song is on point for how Jinx is feeling right now. It feels like she doesn't really know what to do with herself, so she's actually just wandering, waiting for something to happen.
It's factory smog trapped underground. No more, no less. You go on ahead.
Confidence.
You don't do much of anything anymore, do you, Magpie? Bird without a wing's just a funny-looking rat.
That's an interesting comparison.
Jeez, lady, you crazy? Talking to dead people.
Self-reflection.
Same time every day. Big baby couldn't do it himself.
Oh, that moment when she realizes Jinx lost Silco too.
About now, he'd have me all over the lanes, running his collections,
Building his weapons,
making his deals.
exploding his enemies.
I'm glad this isn't a sudden bonding moment either, really. The first season had Sevica giving Silco advice about Jinx, and she tried to put herself in Jinx's shoes there, so this moment feels like a natural continuation of that.
What am I? You're alive. You're alive.
Aw, focusing on the things that matter. For now.
A potential, a recursive impulse.
Victor's deeper, distorted voice creeping in at just the end of every sentence is so cool.
Victor, you're my partner.
Our paths diverged long ago. It was affection that held us together.
Ooh, the deep voice coming back only on the word affection. Heimerdinger just loves using his vast knowledge to make people smile. This shot looks so good for no reason. The blurred depth of field is so smooth in a way that only a virtual camera could achieve, and the shadow cast off of Heimerdinger's hood is so smooth, it's just beyond satisfying to look at. Coolest gas masks ever. Jinx has always had that dramatic flair. Ooh, you can't tell if she's crying from feeling betrayed by Vi or from the gray. Most likely both, but it hurts you either way. Is ambushing her smart? Yes. Did you need to practically clothesline her? Yes, it looks so cool.
I'm the kind of guy who likes to get in close.
Whether I'm pulling the pin or not, everyone who gets close to me dies. Want to know the real kicker? You're the kind of guy who likes to get in close.
Twisting someone's words like this will never get old. Another music video? Yes, the song is so much fun and the fight is an absolute blast to watch. Yup. Aw, being threatened but being cute about it. Her new arm is a 3-reel slot? This show is so visually overstimulating sometimes, and I love it. Isha is a great example of how friends are made. I can't think of any time I've met my friends by asking, wanna be friends? You kind of just start doing random stuff together and then all of a sudden you're like siblings. That look. Jinx is just like, wait, I don't know if you're old enough to be watching this. Ooh, some foreshadowing about Victor's powers being limited by showing him to be the first to fall on his knees. Is it just me or is Huck kind of... The Jesus symbolism is a bit on the nose, but so is a good amount of the stuff in this show, and it's a part of its charm. I know what I said about the montages, but they are still really well animated. And also with this one, it provides insight into Caitlyn's state of mind, showing her tunnel vision on Jinx.
It's the gray. It gives me that.
Tell us how you wound up here.
Hey, wait.
Kate is threatening Hina when he didn't do anything to provoke her or test her patience, and it's a good way of showing how grief can make you act irrational. Also, Vi's reaction to Kate's senseless anger is out of fear that her cupcake is going too far, but also reminding Vi how dangerous enforcers are in general, and the fact that anger like Caitlyn's can cost someone their life, the same way it cost Vi's parents their lives. As someone who hasn't played League, and probably won't since RTS games aren't really my thing, I was so confused about who the Black Rose was. But, I mean, their magic looks cool, and that's a win.
You have no inkling what family is to me.
And that's why we love Ambessa. Love.
Do you really think Mel could have succeeded with...
Never speak ill of my family.
That's so sweet. She's defending her daughter from being belittled, but also recognizing that Mel made it on her own accord, and her differences from her mother are what she's kind of proud of Mel for.
Your mother was spooked like a cat backed into a corner.
Let's just Batman her.
Every action sparks a reaction. Oh, ball sockets.
Heimerdinger profanity is my favorite profanity.
If you see an opening, take the shot.
Bye.
I like the idea that Kate is looking in Vi's eyes for any signs of conflict here, any sign that Vi might hesitate.
Don't you remember the old Jana bedtime stories? Miners trapped underground, air running thin. Some wispy wind woman wafts to their rescue.
If Jinx started narrating audiobooks, I might actually start listening to some.
You walk along the edge of danger.
Woodkid is back, and as far as I know, he's the only returning artist from the first season soundtrack, other than Mako, who's just Alex Seaver, one of the composers for the score. And Woodkid does not let us down. This is by far one of my top 5 songs off this season's soundtrack. He sings real low for this one, and it sounds amazing. Sorry in advance, Chase. You seriously get the worst out of it compared to the other two. Oh, yeah. Oof, gauntlet straight to the stomach? I don't know if that's a brutal, but it's close. The whole fight could just be frames like this, and I would be so happy. Man, Kate really gave the middle finger to... I'm not smart enough to come up with a pun for this.
No, this isn't how it's supposed to...
No! This is not how this was supposed to go!
Okay, I see why Jinx didn't want it to go like this. Leaving her final mark on the world, but not having it actually be your final mark feels wrong and honestly kind of embarrassing.
It's her blood in your veins.
Then why are you the one acting like her?
Well, that'll break your heart into a million pieces. Vi's response might have cut too deep, but Kate physically and emotionally hurting Vi so bad that the wind is knocked out of her and she's brought to tears, you totally understand the goth Vi transformation.
Yesterday, I met with your guild merchant, Amara. We spoke of rebuilding, restoring this great city to its former glory. When 2 Zornite assassins fell upon us, I tried to save her, but the blade pierced her heart. Our families should not need fear an assassin's dagger in the night.
Covering up Amara's death is justified, but using it to fuel the fire against the war on Zahn just feels terrible, but you totally get it. This might be my favorite piece of score to come out of this show. Maybe right next to the music for the firelights interrupting Jinx and Vi's reunion in Season 1. You feel the stakes of what's happening, but there's that sense of raw power, and the fact that it's on beat with everyone beating their chests is just the cherry on top. Jinx becoming this symbol of hope is a lens that I never really looked through at the first season's finale. She did it out of revenge, but of course some people of the Undercity are gonna see it as a way to stand up for themselves. This could also mean Kate's gonna metaphorically paint the Undercity blue, meaning she'll take it over, but Caitlyn's blue hair isn't colored blue for the montage since she's not on Jinx's side.
Let me guess.
Hell no. I know she's not with Vi, so it's technically okay, but still, hell no.
Our undefeated champion with claws like daggers and teeth like sharper daggers.
Creativity. Isha's little angry face is so cute. I would protect that child with my life.
You're lucky. I didn't get to do much of this with my older sis.
The parallels between them were obvious from the get-go, but they even have a gap in their teeth at the exact same spot. It's the details.
Did Savika put you up to this?
Wait, it's Savika? I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time. It's been 5 videos. How did I not notice this? Isha knows how to Jinx pretty well, and I don't think she's even seen how Jinx can make a show of things. This is kind of something she learns on her own and shows how much she was like Jinx before they even met.
It's hers. I'd recognize it anywhere.
Yeah, Jinx puts her mark on stuff in a pretty obvious manner. I'd be surprised if no one recognized it.
No body count, no theatrics.
No theatrics? This wasn't theatrical enough for you, Maddie? Stupid Maddie, whatever her last name is. Oh, wait, speaking of last names, fun detail. People born in the Undercity don't have last names, but the people from Piltover and Noxus do. Well, no, wait, Sky was from the Undercity and she had the last name Young, but it's not consistent. I don't know. Anyway, the more you know.
Officer Nolan, quite the familiar face these days.
Oh, Ambessa's complimenting her since she's doing a good job being a double agent. Like, good job being a familiar face these days.
Why is peace always the justification for violence?
This line runs way deeper than I initially thought. Think of most violent acts and it's usually for the sake of peace, but also usually for the wrong reasons. This effect where there's two things in focus, I learned is called a split diopter shot. Technically, since it's animation, meaning they use a virtual camera, it's already possible to have everything in focus. But they simulate a split diopter shot to make it feel just a little bit more like a real camera, and that's one thing I've appreciated about this show's cinematography. It knows when to go for heightened reality and when to feel like a real-world camera.
Tomorrow, the effects have been diminishing.
There's a little reminder of the pain Sallow's in, and the constant need to numb it.
You could have warned me.
Fat chance. About what?
I love how she just knows she probably did something spontaneous to piss Savika off. Still getting used to that.
You want a symbol?
She'd rather just give up on it than to even bother using her other hand, and I feel that.
Do you know how much he sacrificed to protect you? He believed in your potential.
Well, then he shouldn't have died.
Those flashes coming back as she reflects on that time in her life where she constantly had flashes.
If you care so much about me playing your stupid revolution game, speak up now. Or I guess you're really gone.
While those flashes of her dead friends always troubled her, I never thought that when the flashes stopped, she would feel so alone. And Silco hasn't shown up as a figment of her imagination by this point, so while the voices being gone is a good thing, she's just now realizing that it means people are dead for good, even in her mind. Man, I'm not gonna lie, I felt like Jace, Echo, and Heimerdinger were actually dead. Like, I figured they were alive, but I didn't know for sure, and Echo being added to this mural didn't really make me feel any better about it. Showing all three groups of people looking at their fallen leader is so cool. It adds to the mentality that everyone is in it together. Well, I guess everyone in those groups are at war with each other, so maybe not really a good thing, but still cool. Rictus looking all proud of himself after throwing a literal child is angering because I love Isha, but also really funny. That's a grown man and he's like, yeah, that's right. These hands are rated E for everyone, child. Now that's how you summon a monster. Kinda gross, but hell yeah. Yes, it's so on the nose and so beautiful, I love it. He's out for blood, he's seeing red.
Don't suppose you can swim, huh? Lefty.
Damn. Dissing her based on the arm that's been ripped off like 7 times? Come on now, Jinx. If I were an enforcer, this probably would be my idle animation.
You expect me to believe Jinx wears pants like that?
What's wrong with my pants?
You look like a half-eaten circus top.
It feels kind of MCU, but it's gold nonetheless. Dang, that's forward. Like, wow, just close your eyes and make out with the air at this point. The fact that her shoulders are exposed so everyone putting their hands on her is so much more personal. I know I phrased that weird, but there was no way I could have made that sound right, so just trust me here. Ooh, the melody from the bridge coming in right there. I'm such a sucker for score matching the rhythm of a sound effect in the scene. Yup, but also nope. The visuals are amazing and the music is great, but I would not want to be in that room. I'd recognize that accent anywhere. Also, this reveal was staring us in the face the whole time. When someone Jinx loves dies, they became a voice in her head in the first season, like Milo and Clagger, but Vander wasn't one of Jinx's voices. So either this was the writers foreshadowing Vander being alive, or deep down Jinx knew he wasn't dead. Vi's got so much raw rage and power. It's always so satisfying to watch her fight. The way this montage shows anger and how even when you think you've hit the breaking point, you can get even angrier.
Looking good, sis. Wait, just...
Appropriate reaction considering the last time they saw each other.
In my experience, only guilty men answer accusations with silence.
In my experience, no one in power is innocent.
Singed got comebacks.
Your youth betrays you. Patience is a product of age, both of which I possess in abundance.
What a classy way to call yourself old. I'm using that when I'm older. Ooh, she looks almost angry at the mural. Angry at the idea that Jinx is drawn next to Vander, who she killed.
Well, at least they never had to see the psycho their daughter turned into.
Which one?
I don't know if Jinx has a sound argument here. Vi's not acted psycho at all. The worst she's been is angry to the point of it being unhealthy.
You think I need these to...
Vi's face. I don't blame Vi much since it was probably an instinctual reaction, like taking your hand away when you touch something hot.
I've never seen a beast of such savagery.
No beast is more savage than man.
Man, Singed is rivaling Echo with saying the coolest lines.
Who invented Shimmer? We have our answer now, don't we, Dr. Revik? Why? Why do all this?
Why does anyone commit acts others deem unspeakable? For love.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. Unless you're one of the mustache-twirling villains who just want power.
What are you trying to cure?
That affliction we all suffer. Death.
Ooh, a slippery slope there, Singed. Living only once is the reason life is so special. You have to cherish it, yada yada yada.
A healthy sense of self-preservation, I'd say.
You aren't my brother.
I wonder if it was the creepy, distorted villain voice that clued her in. Oh wow, why is there nightmare fuel in my League of Legends show? I hadn't even considered that Isha's blood would lead Vander to them. The show is great at using character moments to help move the plot forward in ways you wouldn't have considered until it happens.
Don't hurt him!
Proceeds to give him the most vile uppercut ever.
It's him. You have to believe me.
Oh, that's a yup. Yup. This isn't a gripe against the show, but I hate how closed captions describe music sometimes. I think we can all agree Our Love is in the R&B soul realm, but the subtitles call it mellow psychedelic rock music. I love me some psych rock, but this ain't it. Okay, getting off my soapbox now. This song makes me feel things, and the flashback abruptly starting with it is my favorite aspect of it.
Tonight, a harebrained scheme these two bozos cooked up to turn a crack in the earth into a thriving community became a reality.
You hear that, Bozo 2? We made it.
Oh, you're sadly mistaken. I'm Bozo 1.
That cheeky smile. And I know there's a theory that Felicia might have cheated on her husband and Jinx is actually Silco's daughter. Silco's hair is really trying to get that idea across, so I don't know. I mean, the three of them seem to have a platonic relationship, but it does kind of seem like Silco's into her, so I wouldn't rule it out. It could really go either way, but I prefer to think Felicia was a faithful mom, and Silco's father-daughter dynamic with Jinx was much more built on their personalities and not a blood bond. This usually isn't my vibe, but Mako really tugs at your heartstrings here, and it feels like Score since he's also one of the composers.
What are you waiting for? He's your dad too.
Waves and waves of goosebumps, but no tears. Definitely no tears.
Sallow.
How is Jace's messy hair still so beautiful? It's so frustrating.
I must return to him.
I can't let you leave.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
I'm sorry too.
Whoa, I don't know what I expected after I'm Sorry Too, but it was not that. Brutal.
I see it now.
I love little moments of foreshadowing like this. Oh wow, his head's still intact? He's doing better than I thought he would.
That isn't Jace. There is another will at work within him.
He's not, but I get why Victor would think that. I mean, I couldn't believe it either.
Remember this, Caitlin. Tunnels in your eyes, lava in your veins, shadows in your heart. This is the truth of combat.
And Bessa's style of combat is interesting.
Tunnels in your eyes.
Focusing purely on your opponent and nothing else.
Lava in your veins.
Using maximum strength.
Shadows in your heart.
And removing empathy from the equation.
We are kin.
Ah, kin as two people of authority, but this seems like Ambessa's attempt to act as a mother figure in Caitlyn's life, now that her mom is dead and Ambessa's daughter is opposition. It's good to know that Victor's not necessarily controlling them, because Huck still feels fear when Jinx points a gun at him. Victor did heal these people and connect their consciousness through a hive mind, but he's not fully in control. Isha being part of the family and helping Vander around is so adorable.
Can you help him?
I will do all in my power. However, I have one condition.
Looks like you got a couple.
Jinx's snappy comebacks came back. Remember Me, the intro and the main song fit so well into the Arcane sound. Like, I don't know what it is, but it has that usage of normal instruments a lot of the songs have, but then brings in melodies with this otherworldly sound to it. It kind of gives off that steampunk vibe from the last season's soundtrack. Vander's memories being in watercolor is my favorite art style choice in the whole show. Watercolor just has that nature where it feels like a memory that's beautiful but faded. That transition from the intro to the main song and that visual transition from still images to moving watercolor, this might be me being delusional, but I also think each frame cuts on beat with the song, whether it's in quarter notes or eighth notes.
The more one understands, the more one realizes the vastness of his ignorance.
That's true, and I think it's why the news has terrible effects on some people, especially with how it gears towards negativity for the headlines. Knowing everything about the world also means knowing everything wrong with the world.
Do you believe in fate? Our paths carved before us.
Future old Victor foreshadowing?
He's a man, and he needs my help.
Here's where the cracks start to show with Victor's ideology. Part of humanity is its imperfections, but Victor's trying to make humanity perfect, to save it from itself. But there isn't any saving humanity without removing everything that makes people human. Dang, I guess a 6-hit combo is one way to reunite.
You look like an angry oil slick.
Don't sugarcoat it, Cupcake.
This is all the convincing she needed to join Vi. I totally get it.
Trying to save my dad.
Okay, I guess this also convinced her a little bit.
So much for happy reunions.
I could tell Kate and Vi planned something almost immediately, but I love when this type of thing happens. I've noticed how in this season the writers like to keep things from the audience as opposed to showing us everything like they did in the first season, and most of the time it works.
You know, my father taught me about trust. He told me if I wanted it, there were only 3 things I needed to do. Be honest, even if it means telling a self-righteous windbag that her breath smells like a cesspool. Be patient. Being tied up sure helps.
And the third?
Just shut the fuck up.
Best way they could have revealed the plan, and it being kind of predictable doesn't change the fact that it's so cool. One thing I love about this show is that no one is unstoppable. Some are more experienced, some are stronger, and some are both, but everyone has a weakness, and the power scaling is really well done. Jace really hates children. Arcane's art style and speed ramping is just a proven recipe for a good fight scene. Jinx saves Kate's life, so those two are okay, the happy family's back together, and I really did think this would finally be the happy ending they got, until we cut to Jace. That instant wave of darkness when Victor's body is destroyed, the way it makes your heart drop reminds me of the effect that the Dark Mark had in the Goblet of Fire. My train of thought during this scene was terrible. Why are there close-ups on Isha? Why is the music sad? It should be dramatic. Oh wait, why are we getting flashbacks? Oh, I hate the show.
That which inspires us to our greatest good is also the cause of our greatest evil.
Nice little reminder of the idea that peace is the justification for violence. Isha had to kill Vanderwick, just so he would stop wreaking havoc, but that also resulted in Isha's death. And that thought is scary because it means that violence is necessary sometimes. Now, I've also heard a lot of people say this act's pacing is way too fast and it's rushed, part of which I agree with. The pacing of each scene itself is pretty even, they're not afraid to take their time, but I agree with the act being rushed. There are so many scenes that I feel like we should have gotten, holes of character growth that we didn't see, that I feel need filling. The writing is still amazing as always, but I think we just all wanted a little bit more of it per act. An exclusive intro for this episode with this timeline's Echo and Powder, instead of our timeline's Vi and Jinx.
You're beyond help.
Ooh, is Jinx showing in the reflection before Powder's revealed?
Did you just throw that?
Powder's way more understanding about this than I would have expected. Her boyfriend just threw something at her strong enough that it didn't break, and she's more confused than angry.
Oh. What's gotten into him?
Echo just can't help but cry when he hugs people, can he? Jokes aside, the fact that he watched his Benzo get killed and couldn't do anything about it makes this hit so much harder.
What is up with you?
Hearing adult Powder's voice sound so normal feels weird. It's honestly a bit refreshing. I'm also glad it's only shown piece by piece that these two are dating.
Where would you be without her?
Here's the first sign they're together. I somehow missed all of the signs and I thought they were just friends up until the kiss, so this rewatch is a completely different experience.
Oh, do the Kim sisters have another show coming up? Milo here is a big fan.
Yeah. The old man's gonna let us play the...
Everyone needs a wing woman like Powder. The way he realizes it like this is so cool. I don't know why, but it's oddly fun to just see characters figure out exactly what's wrong without asking anyone else.
How long have you been here? 1,128 days, 6 hours, and 20 minutes, give or take.
That's kind of insane to think about, actually. He probably took over the body of his timeline's Heimerdinger too, and he's just been chilling and street performing for 3 years without being able to see his version of anyone he knew.
What about Jace? Is he here?
I fear he may have wound up elsewhere.
Oh, man. Oh, wound up elsewhere.
This place will grow on you, you'll see.
Grow on me? I have people back home who need me.
While Heimerdinger's mentality of adapting to a new place and enjoying it is nice, I'm glad Echo has this sense of responsibility to his timeline, regardless of how nice this one is. He also did take over someone else's body, so the quicker he's out of that body, the quicker he can stop worrying about all of the moral implications that has.
She's dead? How?
That's not funny, Echo. Just because you're having a bad day, don't take it out on me.
Was it you?
When you think about this from Powder's perspective, I'm surprised she stayed with him throughout the episode. And I have a feeling she knew this wasn't her Echo by the end, before she got her Echo back. This dude threw stuff at her and accused her of killing her sister. I wouldn't take that. Ooh, that harsh cut back to his reality.
Go spin the wheel and see where it lands.
I had no idea this was Heimer until the end of the song, and I remember thinking, what in the Noah Khan? Like, tell me this doesn't sound like Noah Khan with a higher voice. Also, props to Mick Wingert for singing so well in general, but also singing in his character voice really well. This is one of my top 5 songs off the soundtrack, and I am not joking. It makes me feel nostalgic for some reason, and I love it. Oh man, this is the girl he accused of killing Vi earlier? That little detail of the saliva dripping down his mouth?
How could I forsake a brilliant lad in need? Again.
Such a cruel transition back to Jace. Victor looking like a white Grim Reaper is a look that I didn't know I wanted. Giving Bruce Wayne a run for his money here. I always got so nervous when a character just lays this close to the edge after climbing something for so long. I also used to move around in my sleep a lot, so if I fell asleep next to an edge like this, I would most definitely have fallen to my death.
Nothing scared her.
No, not my sister. But I was strong because she was afraid. Well, her fear of losing us is what made her fight so hard.
Some things stay the same across most realities, and this is one of them. Doesn't even care anymore if they attack. This look right here makes me wonder if Heimerdinger ever fell in love. Also, for a second here, I thought he was bobbing his head to the montage music. I feel like seeing two people that are already in a relationship look at each other like this hits different compared to seeing it in the crushing phase. It shows that with the best relationships, you kind of always have a crush on your partner. Oh, well that's just horrifying.
Didn't you try to kill him? Greatest thing we can do in life is find the power to forgive.
The phrase "what could have been" is a theme that's really prevalent throughout this episode, and this is a great example of it. Silco and Vander, practically brothers, could have stayed as just that. Something Arcane does so well is not holding back with showing true, loving male friendships. Like, I know people joke about shipping Victor with Jace, and some people also shipped Clagger and Milo here, which I'm really hoping is a joke considering they're technically family. And I know straight male friends joke about being gay all the time, but sometimes the brotherhood is actually real, and I think Arcane shows it really well. There are so many parallels between Arcane and Spider-Verse just in their general style and some of their characters, but I can't unsee Powder's outfit being almost the exact same as Gwen Stacy's prom outfit in Across the Spider-Verse. So much to break down in this scene, with the movement at 4 frames per second, symbolizing the 4 seconds Echo can go back in time, and so much more that I couldn't possibly address without making this video way longer.
Can we just pretend like it's the first time?
Jinx definitely knows this isn't her Echo, and I think the montage was actually her piecing that together and basically playing along, which is why she's so understanding of Echo, her boyfriend, being so distant. It makes the whole episode a lot more bittersweet knowing that she loves Echo in every universe, and she's gonna want him to be happy no matter what. That's why she gives him a night he'll never forget. It makes you want to cry just thinking about it. And oh my god, the Stromae song is not helping with the tears. Here's another one of my top 5. I'll let you guys guess my entire top 5 by the end of the video. Dude, this episode is so mean to Jace. It's like, hey Jace, see Heimerdinger's other pupils? See how he's having his little teenage love moment and you're here fighting for your life?
Send me back.
To think that Jace's whole arc this episode was that he had to learn how Hextech was Piltover's undoing. I mean, come on, Victor, you could have just said so. I've heard a lot of people say how Heimerdinger's death was glossed over, and with how well this sequence built up to it, I don't think that's true. Not even a minute into the episode, and we already got some insane visuals.
You can inhabit your followers.
We are one.
Okay, now this is mind control.
It took all of 3 dots to patch you up.
About time the parallels between Loris and Vander are addressed. Loris is such a loyal sweetheart, and I really wish his death was given more time.
How long were you sidled up with that shifty, self-serving war pig? She oinked poison in your ear and...
Vi seriously goes all the way with the pig metaphor, and I remember rewinding with subtitles to make sure I was hearing things right.
Who decides who gets a second chance?
That's actually a really good point. As far as I can tell, we haven't seen any courts in Piltover. We've seen the enforcers, we've seen the prison, but never a court. So who does actually make the decision?
Hating you, I've hated myself. I just don't have the energy for it any longer.
I didn't know your mom was there. It probably wouldn't have made a difference, but I didn't know.
See what some communication can do for any relationship? Here's a little life lesson to take from that. Just be honest about how you feel, and issues are more likely to be resolved much faster.
It started then. Feelings I couldn't explain. But this, I still don't fully understand.
Neither do I, Mel. But again, they look cool as hell, so it's all good. I love that Jace instantly detects his former best friend. It's like a dark version of when you and your best friend are on the same wavelength and think the same things.
Let us instead do this once again as partners.
Man, this actually is sad when you think of how close of friends they used to be. Reminds me of that feeling Obi-Wan and Anakin gave you in Revenge of the Sith.
The late Marcus that he found imprisoning your sister to be a greater mercy than killing her.
Silco's voice entering Jinx's head once she lost another person she loved, and she even lost Vander again. But notice how it's not just a flash, it's a full voice and body.
What are you gonna do?
Break the cycle.
Ooh, that one's painful.
I'm no more than a passenger. A life I spent in self-pity. Now it's gone.
There's one thing I know in my bones. There is no force in this world that can control you.
You know, I can't tell if these two love each other romantically or if they ever did. Either way, they clearly love each other in a different way now, and that's sweet.
And I pray that you will join me.
I wasn't the biggest fan of the Topside and Undercity teaming up for the war, especially considering that the rivalry was a subject of the whole first season and it's been almost forgotten about for a good amount of this one. But I'm glad the Undercity isn't immediately on board after this speech. They still need convincing. And regardless of my last point, you can't deny that this show of mutual respect isn't cathartic. So I've heard people say that this scene is stupid since Vi should be going to make sure Jinx doesn't end at all, and I agree with that, but these two really needed this moment because their relationship has had some insane ups and downs. Saying that justification out loud didn't sound as convincing as I thought it would, but you know what? Echo saves Jinx, so it's fine.
These mages dangle over our heads a sword that impales us should we rise too high. Their very nature violates the most core of Noxian principles, that every one of us is equal on the battlefield, that through cunning, sweat, and steel, we shape our destinies.
While I do kinda wish they helped non-League players understand the whole Black Rose plotline a bit more, Ambessa saying this really intrigues me, and I'm excited to get into it in the Noxus series.
I will miss our talks.
No, you won't.
God, this whole scene just breaks you. The instrumental starting, Sky saying that Victor won't miss their talks because he's trying to eliminate emotional ties to friends and loved ones, which is bound to include her. And then the second their hands break away, Tyler Joseph's voice comes in, sounding more tired and utterly depressed as ever. The drums also add so much to the tone of the scene. If you listen to a drumless version of the song, it sounds sad and cinematic, like most of the sadder songs in this season's soundtrack. But adding the drums back in adds this texture which makes the song perfectly encapsulate the feeling of being numb to emotion. Safe to say this song is in my top 5. Ooh, that chord sounds completely different from the soundtrack version of the song, and it adds to that unnerving, dangerous feeling of the scene. I love this design of Victor's final form. It's almost as if the old Victor is gone, like his new form killed the old one, splitting it apart.
For the ones that I had to defend.
The final opening montage is unlike the others in the way that it's all grounded in the show's reality, with only a few crazy art style choices.
I just want to talk to you about Jinx.
If this isn't a way to show how stressful talking someone down is for a normal person, I don't know what is. Echo has to cycle through every possible dialogue choice to see which one works. Arcane's visual style is made for huge battles like this. Like I said, I really wish Loris's death was given more time. I get that it's the whole reality of war thing where deaths aren't dramatized much, they just happen. But it feels wrong not to give Loris a proper send-off.
I did appreciate your warmth.
The visuals, the diegetic music, the firelights, hell yeah.
You are no Madada.
You remember.
Shut up and fight!
Thank you, Caitlin. While their stories are always fun to listen to, you just gotta do what Vi said.
Shut the fuck up.
Hell no. Seeing a bunch of things climb something like that always makes my skin crawl. Yes, someone who's played a spider person standing with someone who has a green glider. Arcane's hand-to-hand combat. Vital organ sacrifice. Nothing hurts like someone looking like they're proud of you and then passing. On my first watch, I thought Echo was dead here, but thankfully he isn't.
Still don't get it, huh, sis? I'm always with you, even when we're worlds apart.
The completely blank look in his eyes and his much more measured way of fighting. Man, after all that fighting, Victor just takes everyone over. This is how you show the power of a villain.
You've always wanted to cure what you thought were weaknesses, but you were never broken, Victor. There is beauty in imperfections, an inseparable piece of everything I admired about you.
It's powerful to see Jace turn to his humanity, his emotions, in order to get through to Victor, who wants to purge both of those things. Okay, yeah, that's a clothesline. I just gotta give this an insanely cool shot win.
There is no prize to perfection, only an end to pursuit.
Exactly, that's why there's no such thing as perfection for us, which we should be thankful for. If our lives were perfect, I don't think anyone would want to live anymore. It's actually pretty dark when you think about it.
In all timelines, only you can show me this.
This is crazy to think about. Time travel stuff is always muddy and it works differently in every story, which is why I get worried when it's a major plot point. But I think here it's actually handled really well.
You must go, Jace.
We finish this together.
And here's what I feel is the main theme of the show. Love. Loving someone so much that you refuse to give up on them, like Vi does to Jinx and like Jace does to Victor. Ooh, the parallel to the end of Season 1's first act, but this time Jinx rights her wrongs.
Maybe death is like falling asleep. This world is a wasteland where nothing can grow. I used to have strength, but I ran out of hope.
This is a really good moment of Jinx getting to do the right thing after constantly feeling like she made the wrong choice at every turn. It's also such a dark answer to when she tries to die earlier in the episode. She tries blowing herself up and falling to her death, but this time she falls into an explosion, in a sense getting both endings she wanted. She's probably not dead, but I hope she actually is so this can hit harder. Vi singing the bridge song is a good send-off to Jinx, and the piece of score here is almost exactly like the first piece of score in the first minutes of the show. Wow, it's crazy to think that Arcane is like over now. Obviously there will be more in this universe, but Piltover's story with these characters is most likely over. I think my thoughts on this season are pretty well summarized in the wins themselves, and I know I raved about every aspect of the first season being close to perfect. While this season has its missteps, I definitely still think it's a worthy ending to the first season, and the people behind this show clearly love it to death. I think the crew share the same thought as most of the fans. They wanted to give every part of the story more time, it's just that the budget wouldn't allow for that, and based on how this show looks, I totally understand. The sheer amount of detail that goes into any frame in animation in general is just insane, and Arcane takes it to another level. Designing every frame of this show, making sure the same shot is barely used more than once, having to decide how everything should look, picking the colors you want to use, deciding which design choices you want to use, determining how much of the frame it should take up. There's so many little things that I think we all tend to forget how much work goes into every part of the process. So regardless of everyone's thoughts on the few things this season got wrong, here's 10 wins for everyone who worked on the show. You guys innovated in animation, but made sure that the story is what kept you coming back. The story is what justified the amazing visuals. As always, you guys are an absolute win, and I'll see you soon.